J.K. Rowling is a British novelist best known for creating the Harry Potter book series, and will be sharing her life in this success story. With over 450 million copies sold, the works were translated into 73 other tongues. The most popular book series in history, they now sell the most copies. Additionally, they served as the inspiration for a film series, which is recognized as the second highest grossing film series in history. Persistence, leadership, and effective communication make up J.K. Rowling's signature personality traits. Joanne Jo Rowling, better known as J.K. Rowling, was born on June 31, 1965, in the English village of Yate, Gloucestershire. She borrowed Kathleen, the name of her grandmother, for her pen name. Rowling doesn't have a middle name. Her father, Peter James Rowling, was a Rolls-Royce engineer, and her mother, Anne Rowling, née Volant, was a half-French, half-Scottish science technician. Joanne's parents were both born in London. They met on a train travelling from King's Cross to Arbroath in Scotland when they were both 18 years old. Her father was about to enlist in the Royal Navy, and her mother was about to enlist in the Women's Royal Naval Service. Anne was cold, so Peter offered her half of his coat. A year later, they got married. They soon left the Navy and moved to a Bristol suburb in the west of England. 4 years after Joanne's birth, the family relocated to the nearby village of Winterbourne. Joanne was a small, rotund young lady who wore glasses. She loved to tell her incredible fairy tale stories because she was a dreamer. Joanne's first story was written when she was 6 years old. It was a story about Rabbit, a rabbit who had measles. His friends came to see him with a huge bee named Miss B. Dee, Joanne's younger sister, was the first to hear her stories. The future novelist's childhood cannot be described as difficult. On the contrary, she had a peaceful and happy childhood surrounded by loving parents, a favorite sister, and a grandmother. Joanne loved modeling clay pottery, painting, and learning about the history of literature while attending St. Michael's Primary School. Her parents, on the other hand, had always wanted to buy a house in the UK, and when Joanne was 9 years old, they relocated to the village of Tootsill in the county of Forest of Dean. Joanne Rowling became interested in literature at this time because of her mother. Her mother devoted her entire life to the family, so she wanted to ensure that her daughters received a good education. Anne read a lot of books to her daughters, and by the age of 5, Joanne could retell almost every book by heart. Joanne attended St. Michael's Primary School, which was established 200 years ago by abolitionist William Wilberforce and education reformer Hannah More. She discovered at school that her favorite subjects were English and reading. At the same time, Joanne encountered difficulties as a result of Mrs. Morgan's hostility. She designated the left side of the classroom as the smartest students. Mrs. Morgan insisted on Joanne sitting on the right side of the class. Joanne was upset because she knew she was a bright student. Later, Rowling admitted that she based Severus Snape on Mrs. Morgan. Rowling, on the other hand, had a number of teachers who encouraged her to write. She had a couple of primary school teachers who made Joanne feel very special by reading her work to the class. Her family moved again when she was 15 years old. Rowling missed her friends, but bad luck never strikes alone. Joanne's favorite granny died around the same time. Her relationship with her father deteriorated, and her mother became seriously ill with multiple sclerosis. Because treatment was ineffective, Anne Rowling's condition worsened with each passing year. The young girl's mother's illness was the most shocking experience of her life. Joanne Rowling attended Oxford University after graduating from Whiting School in 1983. She had passed the entrance exams but was not admitted to one of the most prestigious British universities. She did, however, enroll in the Faculty of Philology at the University of Exeter in Exeter, southwest England, the United Kingdom, where she was intensely studying French. This was, in fact, the idea of her parents, who hoped that their daughter would be able to make a career as a bilingual secretary in the future. Rowling graduated from Exeter with a Bachelor of Arts in French and Classics in 1986, after a year of internships in Paris. Joanne then relocated to London and changed jobs several times. She quickly found work as a researcher and bilingual secretary for Amnesty International, but she knew it wasn't for her. The beginning of Harry Potter history. Rowling's boyfriend moved to Manchester in the summer of 1990. She went flat hunting with him over the weekend. During her train ride back to London, the thought of Harry Potter flashed through her mind. Joanne had no idea what had caused it. However, she apparently saw the entire story of the book in the wizard school. The story revolves around a young boy who had no idea he was a wizard until he was invited to the wizard school. Joanne sat down at her desk and began writing as soon as she got home. Her apartment was robbed one day. The thieves stole many memorable items left by her mother, but they did not steal the shoebox containing the outline of Harry Potter. 6 months after her mother's death, the story of Harry Potter was released to the public. Joanne fell into a deep depression after her mother died. Joanne decided to leave the country and start a new life in Portugal 9 months after her mother died. She began teaching English as a foreign language. After 18 months in Porto, she met and married Portuguese television journalist Jorge Aranches on October 16, 1992. Jorge was soon summoned to the training assembly, and he was gone for several months. While her husband was away, Joanne wrote the first 3 chapters of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Jorge Aranches was unable to find work after returning home, and Joanne had to work almost until the birth of their daughter, Jessica Isabel Rowling Aranches, on July 27, 1993 in Portugal. Joanne's husband beat her and drove her out of the house a few months after her daughter was born. Rowling and her infant daughter relocated to Edinburgh to Joanne's sister in December 1993. Diane Rowling was the only person Joanne could confide in and always rely on. Rowling had reached rock bottom by the end of 1993 and saw herself as a failure. Her marriage had ended in divorce and she was now unemployed. During this time, Rowling was diagnosed with clinical depression and considered suicide. Her illness inspired her to create the characters known as Dementors, dark creatures who feed on human happiness, and are introduced in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the 3rd novel in the Harry Potter series. Joanne later decided to rent a small apartment in Edinburgh. As a single mother, she was forced to rely on government assistance. Joanne Rowling was paid £70 per week, which she used to buy cheap food and clothes for Jessica. Rowling was ashamed of her distressing situation. Joanne continued to work on Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone while sitting with a cup of coffee at Nicholson's Cafe, owned by her brother-in-law, Roger Moore, or at the Elephant House. First attempts to publish Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Joanne Rowling finished Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in 1995, after 5 years of writing. She had known how the entire story would end since she wrote the first book. Joanne remade the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone 15 times. Joanne finished the last chapter of the book and told her sister about it, who burst out laughing. Joanne was inspired by Diane's love for Harry Potter. However, writing a book is only half the battle. It was necessary to make it public. Rowling typed up several chapters on an old typewriter, placed them in a folder, and sent them to literary agents. Joanne was looking forward to hearing back from literary agents after she had sent her manuscript to them. She received responses such as "It is too difficult for children. It is too long, and children would not be interested in it." At this point, Joanne was extremely disappointed and believed that life had no meaning. Nonetheless, her sister arrived to assist, saying, "Rowling's never give up." They quickly sent some chapters to Christopher Little, the well-known literary agent. He was not interested in children's literature, so he immediately sent the manuscript to the archive. The agency's young employee was very curious about what lies in blockages and read a few chapters of Harry Potter. She was so taken with the plot that she returned the text to the chief's table. Little decided to promote the book after reading the text. His firm, Christopher Little Literary Agents, agreed to represent Rowling while she looked for a publisher. The manuscript was submitted to 12 publishing houses, all of which rejected it. In August 1996, just as Joanne was about to give up, the book was given the green light, and a £1,500 $2,300 advance by Barry Cunningham, an editor at Bloomsbury, a London publishing house. Christopher Little called Rowling and informed her that Bloomsbury, a publishing house, had made an offer. Joanne couldn't believe what she was hearing. She was so overjoyed that she screamed and jumped in place. Alice Newton, the chairman's 8-year-old daughter, assisted her father, Nigel Newton, in making the decision to publish Rowling's book. He gave her the first chapter to read, and she immediately asked for the next. Despite the fact that Bloomsbury agreed to publish the book, Cunningham advised Rowling to get a job because she had little chance of making money with children's books. Rowling soon found work as a French teacher. Rowling was awarded an £8,000 $12,500 grant from the Scottish Arts Council in 1997 to allow her to continue writing. Bloomsbury published Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in June 1997, with an initial print run of 1,000 copies. The book was distributed to libraries in 500 copies. Such copies are now valued at between £16,000, $25,000, and £25,000, $39,000. Joanne had to read passages from her book to the shop's visitors on the day of the presentation. Only a few people came to hear the unknown writer. Nonetheless, she felt victorious. When readers tasted the tale, the boom began. The book received its first award, a Nestlé Smarties Book Prize, 5 months later. Beyond comparison, the novel won the British Book Award for Children's Book of the Year in February. The novel quickly won the Children's Book Award. Scholastic Incorporated won the rights to publish the novel for $105,000 in an auction held in the United States in early 1998. Scholastic released Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in the United States as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in October 1998. Rowling bought a new flat on 19 Hazelbank Terrace in a prestigious area of Edinburgh after receiving money from the Scholastic sale and moved there with her daughter. They also purchased a rabbit, a cat, and a guinea pig because Jessica had wanted pets for a long time but could not afford them. Joanne was making up for lost time by spoiling her daughter. A film based on the first book. Magic, wizards, and a fairy entourage screamed for a big screen. Unsurprisingly, a film adaptation was not far behind. Warner Brothers purchased the film rights to the first 2 novels for $1.5 million in October 1998. Initially, Steven Spielberg was considered for the role of film director. On second thought, he has refused. Spielberg wanted to make a cartoon, but Rowling and Warner Brothers had a different idea. In addition, Spielberg was put off by a lack of creative motivation. Rowling wanted Terry Gilliam to direct the film. He is excellent, but his points of view do not always align with the vision of a large audience, despite the fact that the project required a large audience. In the end, Warner Brothers decided to focus on Chris Columbus. He enjoyed working with children and had been a fan of family films since the days of Home Alone. Columbus expected Liam Aiken to play Harry Potter, but Rowling insisted that only British actors play the character. As a result, out of thousands of applicants for the roles of the main characters, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint were chosen. On November 16, 2001, the film Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was released. Spielberg was right that the film adaptation was doomed to succeed. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the sequel to the first book, was released in July 1998, and Joanne won the Smarties Book Prize once more. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban won the Smarties Book Prize again in December 1999, making Rowling the first person to win the award 3 times. 1 year later, the British author had a chance to win this award 4 times in a row, but she withdrew Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire from consideration in order to give other books a fair chance. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban won the inaugural Whitbread Children's Book of the Year award in January 2000. Rowling realized her popularity for the first time during her second tour across the United States. She was awestruck by the large crowd that had gathered to see their idol. It was both amazing and terrifying because she had not anticipated it. However, during the previous tour, several hundred people came, but there was no such uproar. On July 8, 2000, The fourth book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, was released simultaneously in the United Kingdom and the United States, breaking sales records in both countries. The book sold 372,775 copies on its first day in the UK, which is close to the number of copies sold in the first year of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. In the United States, 3 million copies were sold in the first 48 hours, shattering all previous records. Rowling was later named the winner of the British Book Awards in 2000. Between the release of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and the fifth Harry Potter novel, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, there was a 3-year wait. On July 16, 2005, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was released to the public. The book also broke all sales records, selling 9 million copies in the first 24 hours of its release. The seventh Harry Potter book is titled Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This information was released at the end of December 2006. On the 11th of January, 2007, J.K. Rowling finished the seventh book in her hotel room at Edinburgh's The Balmoral. Rowling published Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows on July 21, 2007. The novel surpassed its predecessor's record as the fastest-selling book of all time. On the first day, 11 million copies were sold in the United Kingdom and the United States. Rowling appeared in the documentary J.K. Rowling, A Year in the Life, aired on ITV in the United Kingdom on December 30, 2007. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Rowling credited her mother for the success of the book series. "The books are what they are because she died." Today, Harry Potter is a global brand with a $15 billion valuation. In October 2015, J.K. Rowling announced the 8th Harry Potter book series, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which she co-wrote with Jack Thorne and John Tiffany. Pottermore, people are reading fewer books these days, and Joanne went online to support and develop her creativity. Rowling announced on June 23, 2011, that all Harry Potter-related materials would be available on Pottermore.com. J.K. Rowling worked with Sony to create the site. The website focuses on the unknown parts of the Harry Potter series and retells the story in an interactive manner. The website includes Rowling's thoughts as well as several pages of previously unpublished texts. Since April 14, 2012, it has been open to the public. The Casual Vacancy and Other Fiction Books. Rowling parted ways with her literary agent, Christopher Little, in July 2011 and joined a new firm founded by one of his employees, Neil Blair. The Blair Partnership announced on its website on February 23, 2012 that J.K. Rowling was about to release a new adult-oriented book that would be very different from Harry Potter. Little, Brown and Company, a well-known American publishing house, announced the publication of The Casual Vacancy in April 2012. It was supposed to come out on September 27, 2012. In the first 3 weeks of its release, the new book sold over 1 million copies worldwide. The Casual Vacancy was announced on December 3, 2012, as a BBC TV and HBO miniseries. On February 15, 2014, it premiered. Joanne Rowling was awarded the Order of the British Empire, OBE, by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales in 2001 for her exceptional contribution to children's literature. In April 2013, she admitted to writing The Cuckoo's Calling, a crime novel published under the pen name Robert Galbraith. The Cuckoo's Calling is the purported debut novel of Robert Galbraith, who the publisher describes as a former plainclothes Royal Military Police investigator who had left in 2003 to work in the civilian security industry. According to the author, she was inspired by the classic detective stories of Phyllis Dorothy James and Ruth Rendell. J.K. Rowling is a charming woman who had a long road to success. Many obstacles stood in her way, but they couldn't break her spirit or will. She is a truly inspirational person who has demonstrated to the world that anything is possible with hard work and determination. She is living proof that no matter where you come from, you can achieve your goals. Thank you for spending your precious time with us. Make sure you already subscribe to this channel and turn the notification on so never miss our upcoming video. Please do support us to build this channel just by clicking the like button. Comment down below if you have any request about some topics or someone, and share this video to your beloved one and social media. See you on our next video. Bye.